Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. My name is Erik Vasquez, and joining me on the line is my podcasting partner in crime. Yes, that rhymes. She's coming straight from Pittsburgh, PA. She is Shay Hickson. Shay, what's going on, my friend? How was your week?
It's been pretty good, not gonna lie. Little stressed out tonight, I'm not gonna lie. Not because of anything we're doing, but because my women's hockey team is currently in the midst of their winter go home first round playoff series. So to say I am stressed out is an understatement.
The life
And
of a sports fan, let me tell you, they know how to pull on our anxieties.
it really is. Like my anxiety's been at about like a resting 8 out of 10 all day, and it's just progressively getting worse. And of course, it's tied going into the third period, so they can't just make it, easy on me. They have to put me through the fucking ringer. But I was joking with my friends and with my parents because of course I have to keep them kind of updated. I said I'm either going to be in the best mood tomorrow or the worst mood, so it's probably a good thing we're doing this tonight because if we would have been, if it goes south, I probably would not have been in the mood to talk much yet tomorrow. But
I totally
other than that, though,
understand.
can't complain. Getting the hand done on Friday, and we'll report back next week how that went. And yeah, other than that, can't really complain.
Nice. Good to hear. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if this is your first time listening to the Ringside Rundown podcast, first off, thank you for taking the time to listen to us speak about pro wrestling. This is what the podcast is all about. We talk about pro wrestling and what is going on in the world of professional wrestling, whether it's WWE, AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan, it doesn't matter. If it's happening in the world of professional wrestling, if it's a hot topic, we're talking about it. And on today's episode, we're going to be giving you our thoughts on WWE Backlash that just happened this past Saturday. We're going to break down the show, talk about the matches, and give our match ratings. And we also have some questions sent in from our good friend Mike that we're going to answer. So we have a pretty packed episode for you guys. I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Well, like I said, Saturday was Backlash from Tampa, Florida. It was an easy show. This show started at 6 p.m. East Coast time, and I couldn't have been happier that it started that early and finished that early. I thought, 5 matches. I understand a little. People were feeling like there could have been more added to the card, but I gotta say that sweet spot of 5-6 matches, I really like it.
Yeah, and of course I didn't get to watch it in real time because we were out for a Mother's Day dinner, and I'm like, we'll still be able to watch like something, but we got home late, and that's why I texted you because I'm like, hey, did this happen? Which unfortunately somebody got his title back off of. I could have been very technical and said, well, she didn't technically use the mist on anybody. It didn't hit anybody, but whatever. I'll be gracious enough to give it back. I'm sure I'll take it back at some point, but
Wow.
yeah, eventually, or maybe, who knows? Maybe you'll go on like a Roman Reigns run with it for all we know, but
That'd be pretty
you never
sweet.
know. Yeah, well, for one of us it would be, but no, when I finally got around to watching it, it was a pretty solid show. I mean, it wasn't anything to write home about, but it also was probably one of the more consistent shows they've had in a while, which is a relief because sometimes these have been slogs to sit through, and that's putting it mildly. But no, this one wasn't bad. Really surprised by the length. I guess we're just so preconditioned maybe with AEW where it's like, all right, well, the main event's not starting until 12:30,
Right.
and we're not going to be done until a little after 1 in the morning, and I have work the next day, so it was nice for a change to be like, oh wow, that was pretty damn quick. So
Yeah.
I couldn't complain.
I think it was because the UFC event was the same night.
Yeah.
So they wanted to not alienate their viewers who may be into both WWE and UFC and give them time to watch the programs that were going on. I'm saying, hey, it works for me as someone who's like get it done early. So, like you said, don't have to feel like you're wasting your entire evening and then going to bed super late. I'm pretty happy with it. So again, I know some people were kind of feeling a little off because they're like, we pay for this service and you're giving two matches away for free on TV and then only three
Yeah.
matches on the card. I understand that gripe, but
Yeah.
the majority, I would say the majority of us, and if not, you better check if it might apply to you. I get my ESPN through my Hulu package. As long as you
Mm.
have like Hulu, Verizon, the typical cable providers or TV providers streaming wise, you can have your ESPN included in that, so it's at no extra cost. So
Or Disney Plus, I think, too. If you have Disney
yeah,
Plus, I think it counts.
yeah, Disney Plus, you get it. What else? I I I purchased the season package for the MLB, and it also comes with the ESPN Unlimited. Not that I have to use it because I have it through Hulu, but that's another
Yeah.
option as well. They do have a lot of ways that they're giving away this ESPN Unlimited, and like I said, they're doing that thing now where like the first hour of the PLE is on ESPN2, which I think is pretty cool. I like an easy way to rope people in to see if they want to purchase the rest of the show.
Yeah, I can see both sides of the argument because if you pay some type of money, whether it's through, like you said, Hulu or Disney Plus or cable, which is what I have, and thankfully they finally played nice and actually Xfinity worked with them to get the ESPN app. I can see why it's a little frustrating where it's just like, okay, well, if it's a 5, 6 card pay-per-view and you're giving away a quarter of the show for free, it's just like, well, what's kind of the point? But unfortunately, it makes marketing sense too, because if people are kind of on the fence about it still and you dazzle them with these 2 matches for free, then if it incentivizes them to buy the product, then, I mean, you did your job, but it sucks when you have it already, but when you don't have it, you can see both sides.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Now I have to say, with all the, I guess you would say, controversy or ill feeling about WrestleMania and how WrestleMania was received this year, I gotta say, if you maybe didn't like WrestleMania this year, I would feel like this show Backlash was kind of like a bounce back to kind of rope you in.
Yeah, I feel like it was for sure because yeah, WrestleMania definitely did turn a lot of people off. I know I sure wasn't happy with it, so it was just nice to get a consistent show. And again, it didn't like completely knock my socks off, but it also didn't just like make me feel like I wasted my time, even if though it was a 5, 6 match card. So they did their job, they bounced back. It would be nice to see this happen a little more consistently instead of this seemingly pattern of, we're gonna have maybe a stinker of a pay-per-view and then we'll bounce back and then we might have another stinker or two in a row. It's just like it'd be nice to see them consistently have decent pay-per-views, and if this is the starting off point for that, then you know what? Why not?
I agree. I agree. Well, let's get right into it. The show started off. First match of the night was Seth Rollins taking on his former Vision stablemate Braun Breaker, and this was an interesting match because Seth's whole goal is to exterminate the Vision. And I find it interesting that he went after the top dog of the Vision right away to implement his plan. And the match I thought was really good. I'm going to read off my notes. And if, for those of you that are listening, I take notes on each PLE, each match. And it may sound like I'm reading off it. It just makes it easier for me to remember what the hell happened in the match. But
Yeah.
I thought it was an incredibly physical match that was a little rough around the edges, but still a solid opener. Many spots and false finishes got a great reaction from the crowd. The finish came when Seth saw an opening and attempted a stomp from the second rope. As Seth was coming down, Braun pounces and hits a devastating spear. Braun follows it up with a second spear and pins Rollins for the 3 count. This match becomes an eye-opener to Seth, as we saw on Raw this past night. He won't be able to defeat the Vision on his own, but with Seth's history, who's going to step up and be in his corner? I gave this match 3 3/4 flames out of 5.
All right. Yeah, it was a solid opener to start the show. I find it interesting that what I picked up on was it seemed like 2 shows in a row now, or 2 pay-per-views in a row now, they kind of played that whole age versus youth card, because they did it with Punk
Yeah.
and Roman at WrestleMania, and they definitely did that with this one. And this one is definitely believable because Seth's body's been put through hell over this past like over decade or so at this point, and so it really didn't suspend the disbelief. It definitely added an extra little element to the match, which I enjoyed. A lot of interference, but did it need it? Probably not, but I still think it was strong either way because we said we knew Braun was winning this one because Seth didn't really need it, and you'd said earlier, kind of reinforced the fact that he needs more than just himself fighting the Vision to get rid of it. So, it gave Rollins kind of a reason, all of that interference, to lose. So it's really not much of a surprise, but it did kind of make him look a little silly, which perhaps was maybe the point of it, because it's like if he wasn't so focused on everything outside of the match, he probably would have won. He was getting too distracted. He let his emotions get the better of him, and then look what happened. But yeah, definitely a solid match, solid start to the show. Great win for Breakker in his still early career. It feels like he's been around for so long, and he really hasn't. But solid win for him. It'll be interesting to see how they continue to move this forward, and how Rollins' plan of the defeating the Vision actually, if it comes to fruition or if it gets stomped out. But well, pun intended maybe. But yeah, I also gave it 3 3/4 flames.
Nice. Yeah, as we saw on Raw, if you were watching Raw on Monday, it looks like Seth is trying to recruit the Street Profits to kind of take his side and help him get rid of the Vision, but Montez Ford specifically is not trying to have it. He kind of knows Seth Rollins' history with factions and stablemates and what he's capable of doing, and Montez is not about it. I do feel that eventually there's going to be a change of heart down the road, and then we're going to get the 3 Street Profits, Seth Rollins versus the Vision. I think that'll be a good little feud to keep us going there.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that one.
Yeah, definitely. So again, good for Braun Breaker to get that win. It definitely is a notch in his belt, to get that win in his career. Like we said earlier last week, it really doesn't matter if Seth Rollins loses. Seth Rollins is very, I don't, what's the word I'm looking for? He's dependable when it comes to these situations. He's very dependable in these situations. He's going to deliver the best. Like I said, it was a little rough around the edges. They tried to do Seth tried to get a little cute, trying to get a little fancy with his moves, but with the physicality of Braun and like the force of what he does in the ring, sometimes that doesn't correlate. And so, like I said, the match was a little rough around the edges, but professional wrestling, in my opinion, is not supposed to be perfect. The dance is not supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to have a little bit of edge to it. It's supposed to look like a real struggle. So I felt like maybe we could have attributed it to exhaustion, damage in the ring. So I really wasn't faulting them for the little mishaps throughout the match. Like I said, it was still incredibly physical, and Braun Breaker brought it. A lot of this show is they're kind of with the recent call-ups, and I, like I said, this is throughout the show, with the recent call-ups and everybody kind of shifting and different people getting a time to shine. A lot of this show, which you're going to hear from me, is a test to see how people would perform in certain situations. And I feel like for Braun Breaker, the test was to see if he can go with Seth Rollins, deliver a comparable match, and he definitely did. So bravo to him.
Yeah, and honestly, you could probably chalk up the roughness to inexperience too. And obviously, that's no knock on Braun. It's just obviously over time he's going to get better at that. And if you're going to have that kind of match, I mean, it's Seth, so I mean, it's not going to look overtly obvious that things went wrong. But still, it wasn't anything that was so obvious that it's like, oh god, this is a fucking clunker. It's like, no, they're both professional enough to keep it going, even in those slip ups here and there. And yeah, definitely solid. And yeah, we're kind of, it's a good point of like, you're kind of leaning more towards like the youth now, because you're kind of getting rid of like the older stars for the most part. And so this was a good test for Breaker. And I mean, honestly, he's been passing most of his tests for, as long as he's been here so far. So I'd say he's starting to become a pretty reliable guy for sure.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. So we both give the match 3 3/4 flames out of 5, starting it off hot. Then we move on to a match for the United States Championship, a rematch from this year's WrestleMania. Trick Williams defending his newly won U.S. Championship against the former champion Sami Zayn. And I thought this was an enjoyable match. I felt like, again, like with Braun, this was a test to see if Trick Williams is more than an entrance theme, and Trick passed with flying colors, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
I'm really enjoying this bad guy version of Sami Zayn that is mostly, why don't you people like me?
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting what Sammy is doing in this heel role, because it feels organic. It doesn't feel forced, like a character change is automatically forced. It really feels like he's having this complexity, wondering why people no longer are on his side and giving him the push that he needs. And I can honestly attribute it to like, with the underdog story, the underdog can lose only a certain number of times before
Yeah.
people start to go, well, is this guy ever going to get the job done? Or, and then
Hmm.
couple that with Sammy's constant need to like knit at Cody Rhodes, who is the champion, and
Yeah.
anybody else who is the champion, kind of like a little net. It's like this guy
Mhm.
is really like pushing the boundaries. So I can see why people are starting to turn on Sami Zayn. And like I said, with his attitude and his abilities, really, he's just really good. He could be a good guy or a bad guy. It doesn't matter. He's going to knock it out of the park. So I thought it's very interesting. Sami spent a little too much time paying attention to Little Yachty, and it would prove to be his downfall. Sami sees an opening for a haluva kick, but Tricks get out of the corner, and before Impact comes off the ropes and hits a trick shot, giving him the win and him keeping the U.S. Championship. I also gave this match 3 3/4 flames out of 5. What about you?
I also gave it 3 3/4 flames out of 5. Yeah, it was definitely. I think it got a little like wild towards the end, but I also don't think that really took away from it. And it's just so hilarious to me because I think this is a pretty safe assumption to make here, but I feel like Little Yachty is what they wished Travis Scott was.
Mm,
It's they know either it's kind of a mix of they know what to do or he knows that he shouldn't be the main attraction in this. He's just
right.
like an addition to it. It's just like you're just like a little like add to it. And honestly, he's been doing great.
Yeah.
This is what a celebrity or like extra whatever you want to call it is supposed to be. It's
Mm-hmm.
not supposed to overshadow what's actually going on, and he's doing it really, really well. And he's getting sympathy from the crowd because yeah, it's very safe to say Sammy's the heel now. I mean, especially that whole like using the knee injury
Yeah.
that didn't actually like happen. It's
Yep.
just like, okay, so now you're gonna be that guy. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you made a good point that we've talked about a couple times so far is the fact of the underdog can only lose so many times until fans are just like, okay, well, what the fuck's up with this? Like, okay, well, and the worst part is that obviously it's like I would think most people can understand that it's not Sammy's fault. It's just timing and booking and everything. Other things are always in the way and blah blah blah, and other extenuating circumstances. But yeah, I like that they lean more into the kind of that like delusional, almost
Mm-hmm.
kind of crazy heel persona, not so much the like jaded, because we've seen that so many times where it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, you guys turned your back on me and I'm only in it for myself now, blah blah blah. I like that they just lean more into the what do you mean you don't like me, guys? I'm like the hero of all of this. What are you talking about? So I like that we're getting more into that one. But yeah, the match itself was pretty solid. Another again, two solid matches to start the show. Lil Yachty did his spot. And you hit the nail on the head. Trick passed the test because he is absolutely more than just a theme song. And if anyone actually thinks otherwise, then they're not paying attention because he is a star, to say the least.
Now,
So I also gave it 3 3/4 flames.
nice, nice. We're both on the same page. Now, am I a little off by saying Trick reminds me of The Rock, when kind of The Rock was starting to get popular with his catchphrases and his ability on the mic?
I don't think so. I mean, of course, you're not. flat out saying, "Oh, this is exactly just like The Rock." That's like you can see the like similarities and the comparisons there. So yeah, I could definitely see it because it's just one of those that everyone's paying attention when he's talking. There's no like distractions, no nothing. So I could definitely see where you're coming from on that one. I don't think that's a hot take or anything really. So yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely agree with you on that one.
it just feels like Trick is his strong suit is his gift of gab and his ability to
Yeah.
talk on the microphone. That is his strong suit. And it's something so crazy because if you think about it, Trick is a product of the NIL system, the next in line system that WWE has implemented with collegiate athletes and stuff like that. So he is a product of the WWE Performance Center. He doesn't have a wrestling background. He didn't run the indies before he got to the WWE. He is a product of WWE training through and through, and he just kind of he carries himself as if somebody's been doing this as a veteran for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. It's just some people just take to it so quickly and just so easily, and I'd say Trick's definitely one of those. Once he kind of got out of the shadow of Carmelo Hayes, you
Mm,
could definitely see that he could be his own person. He could be more than just a tag team anything. So you know what? I'm glad for his success. Good for him. He's definitely a hard worker, and this match proved that, and it wasn't any different. So yeah, he definitely is going to be a star for many years to come with WWE for sure.
yeah, for sure. And we both give this match 3 3/4 flames out of 5. We're on the same
Yes.
page. And moving on, I can't wait to talk about this match. Oh my gosh. It is
Uh,
Danhausen and a mystery partner to take on the Miz and Kit Wilson. Now, everybody was running rampant with ideas and who could be the mystery partner. Some were good ideas like Pepsi Man Phil. You know, we could have, yes, CM Punkhausen. For some reason, Dave Meltzer decided he wanted to put it out that it was going to be Jelly Roll.
oh
Uh,
please don't.
yeah, and nobody was happy with that idea.
No.
But they completely went another direction, and it ended up being a miniature clone of Danhausen.
Yeah. It's like,
Oh man. Like, honestly, this was the best comedy based match since Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn at WrestleMania, in my opinion. Everything
yeah.
worked so well for a situation that could have gone off the rails because no one would have predicted a mini clone of Danhausen to be in this position and to actually do such a good job. I mean, the person that was playing the clone was Masquerita Sagrada, who is also known as El Torito in the
Mhm.
WWE. So, if you remember the WLC match, the ladder match he had with Hornswoggle, you know
Yeah.
this guy can go. Like
Yeah.
he was perfect for this part, and I honestly think WWE might have gold on their hands to have Minihausen somewhat be of a companion or a mascot to Danhausen, where he kind of just follows him around, and Danhausen communicates with Minihausen, but they have like their own language where Danhausen
Yeah.
understands him, but Minihausen doesn't really say anything that we us normal people understand. You know, so
Yeah.
I think the possibilities of what they can do with Minihausen and Danhausen are endless. The backstage interactions would be hilarious. I love the way they constructed this match because it really did feel like a wrestling match, but with comedy parts in it. You know, like
Yeah.
it like there was still some wrestling in there that was fun to watch, and you get to see Danhausen work. And we've been saying it from the time that Danhausen was in AEW. This guy's a solid guy. His
Mhm.
obviously his gimmick and his character are gonna overshadow his ability, but he has ability and he can get it
Yeah.
done in the ring and he can deliver a competent match. Like for some reason you would expect a company like AEW where like there are no parameters and no borders that you have to box yourself into as a character. You would think he would excel in that situation. And in WWE where things are more tighter and more strict, he would be more reserved. But it's kind of the opposite. In
Yeah.
WWE, he's flourishing and he's making them a lot of money. He's
Oh, that's
making
funny.
them a killing right now. They're starting to print money for Danhausen because you figure the merch, the mask, the booths where you can get Danhausen face paint,
Yeah.
like all of that is just making a killing. And
Yeah, it's insane.
yeah, it
Like, and
is.
like you said, it should literally have been the complete opposite. Like this should have been what I mean, obviously Tony Khan would never admit it, but it's almost just like he probably saw that, like sees this and is like gripping his wine glass so tight he like smashes it in his hand or something, because it's like this is what he should have been doing with Dan the entire time. And
Right.
it's just a shame that it just never happened. But the thing about this match, from the beginning, just the reaction to Minihausen, you're thinking, oh boy, this is not going to be good, because they were not too thrilled. They were not really thrilled about it being Minihausen of all people and not anybody else they predicted. So this could have easily, like you said, gone off the rails and crashed and burned quickly, because it's just like, oh, the crowd's not really into it. They're gonna have to work overtime to get them back into it. But then the thing was, they did. That was the thing. Everybody involved, it was just like the right people just made this match perfect. If you could have put other people into it, it probably would have just been a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't, because Miz has always been good with comedy stuff. So's Kit Wilson. Danhausen, of course, is. And Minihausen fit right in too. So it was just like, it was almost just like the perfect storm showed up with this match. And I'm glad the match happened when it did, because you had obviously Asuka and Io right after it. And then you had the main event. So I'm glad that they didn't put it in between those two, because I feel like this was a nice, like, lighthearted match to kind of get the crowd going, because then with the match they had afterwards, oh boy, they needed all the energy they could get, because that match was insane. And obviously we'll get to it in a minute. But yeah, the match itself was definitely good for what it was. It was just going to be a comedy match. It was never going to be the 5-star instant classic. So with that, I gave it 3.5 flames.
Nice. I actually I enjoyed this match so much, and I honestly, like you said, and like I said too, it could have went off the rails because it was nothing that anybody predicted. And sometimes when people don't get their predictions correct, they kind of see it as a slight, so they get a little angry, especially if it doesn't live
Yeah.
up to their standards. But I thought this match was just perfect. And you have gold when the kids are losing their minds and the adults are
Yeah.
losing their minds at the same time. So they really knocked it out of the park. This was great. I ended up ranking this very high. I gave it 4.25 flames out of 5.
Oh, all right. Hey, you know what? We'll go for that. Why not? I just hope that, because my friend and I at work talk about this all the time. We just hope that, because of course we both love Danhausen, as do you and I. We've loved him for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope they don't like bury this into the ground to the point of just it's overkill, and then he ends up becoming like a, I think my best friend, my friend put it unfortunately, maybe correctly, like in a Kiro Tozawa and Otis kind of situation where it's just like, oh, okay, well, we just need a laugh for something, or we just need to fill time. Let's just throw Danhausen out there. I really hope they don't,
Right.
because of course they're just seeing money signs right now, and obviously so, because it's like he's just one of the most entertaining parts of the show anytime he's on. But I just don't want them to overdo it,
Right.
and hopefully they just find that right balance of knowing when to put him in and not to like overuse him. But obviously time will tell if they actually listen to that advice. But no, the match was so much fun, and like you said, that's a great point of when you get the adults and the kids both like invested at the same time, you're doing something right. And
Exactly.
all of everyone involved in that match did everything right, or almost to a T.
Yeah. Yeah, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, if I was in WWE's position, everything is going so well with Danhausen. Like you said, you don't want to overexpose him or put him in situations where he wouldn't fit. I would just literally trust Danhausen's intuition, because this
Yeah.
guy is a marketing genius and he understands, like, he understands his base very well. It's like
Yeah.
it's because you could just tell everything comes to him very naturally. The comedic timing is just very natural. Like even when they were doing the post show stuff and they were asking him about swearing because when the little mini Hausen came out, you see Danhausen, he looks at the camera and goes, "Ah shit,"
Like of
so
swearing.
yeah, and then like Danhausen explains, like, no, in this situation, it was okay to swear, but kids don't swear,
Yeah.
like, so like
Yeah, right.
it's just great. It's just great. I can't wait to see what they do with Danhausen next. I crack up every time he's on the screen, and my favorite thing to do is like anytime I see a posting on social media involving Danhausen, I read the comments, and most of the comments are always like, "We were so wrong about this guy from first jump.
Uh-huh.
This guy is like the best part of the show, the funniest part of the show." So it's really cool to see he's able to turn people around just by being himself, really.
Yeah, I was gonna say we didn't tell you so, guys, but we told you so. We definitely told you so. But yeah, it's glad that they're finally turning around and realizing how great Danhausen is for what he is. I think the problem is it's like you kind of I don't know. Maybe some people kind of get in their heads of, oh, they have to be a star that's going to win a main event title and blah blah blah. And it's just like, okay, well, not everyone can be main event
Right,
guys. Like that's
right.
just the nature of the business. It's like that's just realistic. But when it comes to comedy wrestlers and entertaining the fans and keeping them around and making money, Danhausen's one of the best right now, and there's not many that could touch him. And it is kind of a shame though that AEW just never realize that, or just I don't know, maybe Tony wanted too much control. Who knows? We're never gonna really know, but it's just kind of a shame that we never got to see this version of Danhausen in AEW because this is what he should have been all along, and this is what made him good on the Indies. Is just doing his thing, being wild and crazy and silly and just committing to the bit, and it's just yeah, it's just been fun to watch so far.
For sure, for sure. So shout out to Danhausen, excellent match. And shout out to really everybody involved: Danhausen,
Yeah.
Minihausen, The Miz, Kit Wilson. You guys all knocked it out of the park to deliver a highly enjoyable match. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise, for sure.
Yeah, and it's like, who cares about I mean, of course you're gonna have those people online that just like I think take wrestling way too seriously, and so to them, somebody like a Danhausen is just a blight on wrestling and so terrible, and why do people enjoy this shit and whatever? And it's just like we've talked about it 5,000 times. It's just like just let people enjoy things, guys. Like it doesn't
Yeah,
have to be super serious all the time.
yeah.
Like
And like
sometimes you want to just laugh.
re- comedy and wrestling has been a thing forever.
Yeah, it's like
Like
this is something.
it's like even if you look at the wrestling from the 1950s where wrestling was in black and white, even that was kind of hokey, and the way they would
Yeah,
move around the ring, and especially like British style wrestling in the beginning is all about pulling pranks, kind of in the ring and kind of taking your opponent off guard and making them
yeah,
look like a fool. So comedy has always been a part of wrestling. It's just sometimes the comedy can be a little overdone. But when you get guys in there like Danhausen and R Truth that know what they're doing, Santino Morella, those are comedy wrestlers that I look at and go, they did their jobs. They were able to tap into a different type of wrestling character and deliver big time. So I'm really excited to see what happens with Danhausen going forward.
yeah, completely agree.
All right. So moving on, I got to give this one my match of the night. I'm talking
Uh-huh.
about Asuka versus Io Sky. And like I said, it was my match of the night. It was just nice to get what we've always wanted for a long time, and that was this match.
Yeah.
The chemistry between both women allowed the match to be much more physical than we usually see from them, and you can tell both Asuka and Io threw everything they had at each other. Asuka would attempt to use the mist while both women were on top of the commentary table, but Io wisely grabs a notebook to block it. It felt like something you would see in a superhero movie. Like
Yeah.
when Captain America uses his shield or something like that. I thought that was a very wise way to counter the misc, and honestly, that felt like Asuka's last shot. After a brief battle in the
Yeah.
ring, Io is able to hit the bullet train attack in the corner. Io follows it up with her moonsault, and she gets the win. After the match, Asuka has a change of heart, and both women embrace in a show of respect. Now, I know a lot of people got a lot of questions about what was going on with the end of that match, the conclusion of that match, and the amount of emotion that was shown. And we'll talk about that later in the show. Don't want to spoil that, because there's a lot of information that I think you guys should know. So
Yeah.
that way it would ease a little bit of the holy shit was going on.
Yeah, because the first initial reaction was this actually can't be happening. But no, we'll get to that later. But no, you took the words right out of my mouth right from the get-go. This was absolutely the match of the night. And we called it. We said this was going to be the match of the night doing the predictions, and they lived up to it. And the thing is that aside from we finally got what we've been waiting for years with this match itself, but the best part about it was that it actually delivered up and lived up to everyone's expectations. Because I think the problem is with some of these matches is you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait and you finally get it, and then you're disappointed because like you just expected more, or maybe the weight of the expectations was just too much and you were expecting a near perfect classic and you didn't get one. So it's just like, of course it could be a little subjective, or it could just be obviously just not in the ring technically not as good as it should have been or could have been. But this one absolutely met every expectation. I don't think I saw a single person actually complaining about this match, and if they did, I think they're just finding a reason to complain about something. But no, this was as close to a perfect match on this night as you could get, and we didn't expect any less because it's Io and it's Asuka, two of the best women's wrestlers on the roster. And even though Asuka used the mist, and I was not happy about it because it cost me my title, but very smart move by Io to block it with that notebook. Like that was just like, all right, finally somebody found a like solution to the mist or how to like get away from it. And it's just how it just goes to show how well Io knows Asuka at this point. Like knows the tricks, knows how she is, knows how she operates. And it was just fantastic. We could go on and on and on about this match. It was just no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna honestly agree with you. We could go on and on about this match. It was just a joy to watch, honestly, because I feel like when you get the match, like we knew these two women would have chemistry because of their history with each other.
Oh yeah.
You know what
Oh
I'm
yeah.
saying? So like
Yeah.
it was just wait and see what happens, and it was just like, this is wrestling, like
Yeah.
that's honestly what it felt like. It felt like, this is finally the wrestling we wanted to see, and it gave us everything we wanted, because these women, there was a point in the match where like they were throwing kicks at each other. One blocked the kick, the other hit the kick, and they both collapsed. So it was
Yeah.
just like it was like they were throwing the kitchen sink at each other, just trying to give people their money's worth. So
Yeah.
honestly, great match. I gave this one 4.25 flames out of 5. What about you?
I also gave it 4.25 flames because again, that was just near perfect of a match as you can get. And I think the biggest thing to take away from it, aside from the fact that it was a match of the night, easily no like argument, was that if anybody still wondered if Asuka still has it, I think that match proves she still got it. Like this is what
Oh yeah.
happens when you actually let her do her best and do her thing and not just I don't know, find herself in like some weird feud that really had nothing to do with anything, or just never really let her showcase how good she actually has been. Because we've seen this. I even mentioned it on the predictions episode. I wanted NXT Black and Gold Asuka, and boy, did we get it. We definitely got it. And I was very happy with the result, very happy with the match. Yeah, we definitely have things to talk about for sure. But we will save that for the questions because I'm pretty sure Mike has a question about it. But yeah, easily match of the night. No offense to the main event, it was great, whatever. But no, the women absolutely stole the show for sure. And yeah, 4.25 flames.
Nice, nice. All right, before the main event happens, we get an announcement from the one, the only, never seen 17, greatest of all time, John Cena, who comes out and delivers an announcement that definitely got people talking. Some people are like, what the hell is this? Other people are like, wait and see how it goes down. But it's a really cool announcement. He comes to announce the start of the John Cena Classic, which is going to be a one-night event where the best of WWE is going to take on the best of NXT
Yeah.
in matches. And here's the thing, at the end of the night, at the end of the event, you're going to be able to vote on who do you think was the MVP of the night. And now here's the funny thing that's got people talking. The MVP doesn't necessarily have to be a winner from the night. It can be a loser, someone that lost in their match. But they can be voted in as MVP, pick who the MVP is, and they're going to be the John Cena Classic champion. And I don't know if that's gonna, I doubt that's gonna be defended throughout WWE. Probably maybe defended on the event, because John Cena says he wants this event to be more than just a 1-year thing. He wants it to be a 10, 20, 30-year thing to go on for as long as possible. So I think initially my thought was, okay, that's pretty cool. Like, he, you know, at WWE versus NXT, it all didn't work out. Like, and then the MVP voting thing, I think it's cool that you get to vote on the MVP, and it's something that we talk a lot about on the show here on the podcast, where sometimes matches are so good that even if you lose, you still look like a winner. That's why, to me, the idea that you could still vote a loser as the MVP is okay, because we've always maintained that even in a loss, you can still take away a win with your performance.
Yeah, exactly. I think it sounds like a very good, it's fresh. It's something new, which, I mean, we're never going to really complain about something like new coming up, because, hey, why not? The thing that's kind of getting me a little bit is the fan voting, because I don't think we should really trust the online wrestling community to much of anything. And plus, you're going to have the trolls and everything and whatnot. So, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. But, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I would like to think, again, maybe they find a way to, well, I don't know. I just feel like it's good that it's something new, and it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. I just can't help but get a little nervous when, you know, you have to put stuff in the fans' votes, because sometimes that's a good thing, but sometimes that's also not a good thing. So who knows? But you know what? At least it's something new. So you gotta give them that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely gonna give this an opportunity. I'm interested how the matchups are gonna go, how the WWE versus NXT matches are gonna go. So I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited to see how this is gonna turn out, and I'm keeping my expectations kind of in the middle.
Yeah, it's more of a I'll believe it when I see it in real time and see
Gotcha.
how it goes.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. All right, so that takes us to the main event, where Roman Reigns is going to defend for the first time his World Heavyweight Championship against his own cousin, Jacob Fatu, the Samoan werewolf. And again, the theme of the night for me is test. Can some of these new people in new positions deliver the way that the WWE and the way that the fans want them to deliver? This was a test to see if Jacob Fatu belongs in the conversation to be on the upper end of the card, maybe the main event. And honestly, I think he passed it with flying colors.
I think so too, honestly. Yeah, it was definitely also how I am fully in just real time. I'm kind of like trying not to lose it because my team just fucking won. So Montreal is going to the finals.
Go ahead, lose
yeah,
it. Go crazy.
I am so fucking happy because this. Oh my god! All right, so sorry guys. This is kind of like a non-wrestling moment here. Like this poor team has been kicked out of the first round the last 2 years in a row. I mean, obviously the league's only been 3 years. This is the first time we finally made it to the finals, and we just knocked out the defending back-to-back champs. So to say I am fucking happy is an understatement. I can't stand Minnesota. That was the other team. Like, we could go on and on about that, but we have no time because it's not a women's hockey podcast. But I am so fucking happy right now, and I wish I could say more, but I will control it for now. But anyway, so yeah, the match itself is fantastic. Like, you talk about passing the test. Fatu passed the test of flying colors.
Yeah.
He was, they made him actually look like, holy shit, this is the one person that can literally go toe to toe with Roman and have it look completely believable and look the real deal. Yeah, like, could you have imagined if he actually would have won the title? The worst part is that, like, with the way he was performing in that match, it really wouldn't have been that much of a, like, I don't know. It wouldn't have been, like, just based off the match, we'll just say, it would have been like, oh yeah, like, that totally makes sense. Like, yeah, he totally, like, stood toe to toe with him the entire time. Like, yeah, I just, yeah, I did think the one thing that kind of caught me a little bit though was that, so Roman cheats to win, right? And the crowd cheers for him anyway, even though he won. So I'm kind of just like, okay, like, that's a little whatever, but no, the match was great. This was like back and forth. Again, Fatu literally had an answer for everything, and it threw Roman off because Roman's just like, this should have been fucking easy, and it wasn't. But yeah, no, totally good. Not as good as the women though, but still very good. So I gave it 4 flames.
Nice. I also gave this match 4 flames. This was a solid match, and again, I was just so happy because the one thing I was looking at is like, man, because like when you're in there with Roman Reigns, that means you're on a level kind of different from everybody else, especially the matches that Roman Reigns can deliver. If he can deliver a good match with you, like you're pretty much golden from here on out. The one thing that I thought was so cool was, like you said, Jacob kind of had an answer for everything that Roman was throwing at him. He took multiple Superman punches, took multiple spears, and popped out of nowhere. Roman had no defense for the Tongan death grip whatsoever.
Yeah, it was insane. It was just so wild to see him on his heels like that because it doesn't happen very often. But yeah, it was definitely just insane.
There were times that I thought Jacob might actually pull this off.
Yeah, and again, if he would have, it almost would have been like, yeah, the way he was going, sure, it would have not really been that far out of the realm of possibility. But you know what? Yeah, it was totally a good match. Definitely a great way to end the show. Again, still just barely couldn't top the women, which I was still kind of happy about. I wanted the women to have match of the night, so I'm glad that they were still able to do that. But yeah, definitely can't complain at all. I gave it 4 flames, 4 even flames.
Now, on Monday Night Raw, Roman Reigns wanted to have a tribal chief acknowledgement ceremony, and he wanted to make sure that Jacob Fatu was present. That didn't happen. That ended up being a major brawl, which once again Jacob Fatu comes out on top, absolutely decimating not only Roman Reigns but also decimating the Usos at the same time. Also his family members, just like Roman Reigns. So this guy doesn't even care if you're family. He will take you out if he has to. So I'm thinking there's going to be a continuation to this storyline. Could there be a chance that Jacob Fatu takes the World Heavyweight Championship from Roman Reigns?
Honestly, if he keeps having performances like that, yeah, he could. Honestly, I'm wondering if this was like maybe the first test, and like you said, this whole pay-per-view has pretty much just felt like a big test for a lot of people. But yeah, if he can still look like that and they can keep it going, yeah, absolutely. It would really not be a wild concept to think that Fatu could beat him at some point. Because again, for a while now, we've been like, who actually can? Like, who can beat him? Who can?
That was a question.
Yeah,
that was a question.
Answer.
Yeah, honestly, and he kind of just it kind of gives you vision. You wonder, okay, Jacob Fatu with the World Heavyweight Championship, and you kind of see it. You kind of see it. Again, this guy is great on the microphone. He cuts a hell of a promo. Like, it's just a
Yeah.
believable promo. His whole deal is when the Bloodline was popular and in their prime and running everything in the WWE, his phone did not ring not one time.
Yeah.
Right after the
Yeah.
Bloodline, everything goes away. Solo Sikoa is the one that calls him and brings him in, and they didn't even accept him then. So why the hell should he worry about those family members when they didn't even bother to give him a call, when they were all making money and he was on the streets grinding and trying to make a name for himself and feeding him and his family? This guy's got a massive family. He's got 7 kids, and he's, trying to scrounge everything up to save and provide for his family, while the rest of his, Samoan bloodline family are thriving. They're not even giving him a piece of the pie. It's a very intriguing story. And it plays up to the part of what we always said about Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. He's a manipulator and he's a gaslighter.
He's really good at doing that too.
Very good.
It's just yeah. So it'd be interesting to see if they can kind of like turn the tables on him a little bit, but kind of hard to outmaster the master of that. But yeah, Fatu is sneaky good on the mic, and he's definitely been showing it. So I'd say just keep letting him talk. Why not?
For sure. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the coverage of Backlash. We gave Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu 4 even. What do you think of the show overall? If you had to give it a letter grade, A, B, C, D, F, what would you give it?
I'd give it a solid like B. I'd say everything was solid. There wasn't really a spot on the card or any match in particular that was like, oh, this didn't really live up to anything that we've seen so far, or oh, this didn't really should have been on the card, this or that or whatever. No, everything should have been on that card, everything belonged on that card, and everything we got was quality. So yeah, it's a solid, consistent show.
Yeah, definitely. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is our coverage of WWE Backlash. They have a lot of events going on this month of May. I believe they said the 23rd is Saturday night's main event from Fort Wayne, Indiana. There's already 2 matches announced for that. Check that out. And then at the end of the month on the 31st, Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is Clash in Italy, where they're going to be in Turin, Italy. And I'm really excited for that because, the European crowds, they always go crazy. And it was funny. I said on stream, I wonder if the Italian crowd is going to be loud and boisterous and everything like that. And Mike is in the chat and he goes, have you ever met a not loud Italian before? So I was like, you know what? You make a good point.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't argue with that considering I am Italian and you've met my mom. So yeah, that it was an accurate statement. I can say that for sure. But yeah, I can't really argue with that one. Mike's got a point, unfortunately. But yeah, it was that one kind of threw me off a little bit. But it's true though. I can't argue with it.
It's gonna
Italians are very expressive.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great show. I can't wait for it, and I'm excited. Because it gives us a lot to talk about, especially this month. It's a busy month. It seems like.
Yeah, it really is. I feel like I promise, guys. Eventually, we'll get to Ask Us Anything, but we have to kind of get through all the pay-per-views and stuff first, and then we'll get there. But at some point, eventually. But oh well.
All right, now it's our favorite part of the podcast. We get to answer some questions sent in by our loyal listeners, and this week we have questions from our good friend Mike, who's got some questions and he wants to know what's going on in the world of wrestling. So why don't we get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it. Let me pull them up. I just can't stop smiling right now. I'm not even gonna lie. I am in such a good fucking mood right now because we won. So
No, trust me. I'm a baseball fan first and foremost, but also the Knicks are in the playoffs, going to the Eastern Conference Finals. So you might
Mhm.
catch me whenever we're doing a stream or
Freaking out.
recording the podcast. I'm trying not to freak out because I
Yeah.
honestly I want to see the Knicks win because they're gonna have to call the National Guard because they haven't won since the '70s. So
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of me for the last like 30 minutes, not gonna lie. Because literally we started right before the third period started and it was tied 1-1. So I'm like, oh, I hope nothing stupid happens because I'm gonna have to not lose my mind and then explain myself on stream. But I'm like, you know what? I don't even care. Like I said, I am so fucking happy. Thank God. And
Thank you guys for winning so that way Shay didn't have a meltdown.
yeah, thank you, Montreal, for pulling through for me because holy fuck, I would have been in the worst fucking mood for the rest of the night tomorrow, and I'm not even joking. Like people who like watch sports, that we're probably a good portion of the people that listen to the show too. It's like you guys get it.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
it's very hard to kind of let it go very quickly, or at least for my sake anyway, because I can be an emotional person when it comes to that kind of stuff sometimes. So you win and die by these teams. So you live and die with these teams. So when things go right finally and we get to get rid of the defending champs, it's a good feeling right now, not gonna lie. But
Nice, nice.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. Now I have to stop, like you get those like tinglies in your hands and your like hands keep shaking, and
Yeah.
it's just like that's literally been me for the last like 10 minutes. But anyway, I do have the questions up, I promise. We can go back to the wrestling, guys. I apologize, but we had some priorities going on. But anyway, so our questions tonight come from Mike, of course. So Mike, thank you as always. We always appreciate it. So his first question is Li Yang Lee defeated Ariana Grace on this week's Impact, and now all the TNA titles are now held by TNA performers. Do you think this is the end of the TNA NXT commingling for a while? I mean, I would say to a degree. I think that was just kind of like the biggest issue people had was the fact that why are you giving all the TNA titles to the NXT performers? It
Right.
was seemed like it was a little unfair. So yeah, I think they're gonna kind of probably rein it back a little bit. I would
Hmm.
think. I would feel like it's not gonna stop completely, but I feel like they're gonna definitely take a step back and maybe focus just on their brands respectively because I feel like the partnership has worked.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
the time and place to use it. So I feel like I would say just give it a break for a little bit, and then when the time's right, just come back to it. But yeah, I would say for now it's just kind of on hold.
Yeah, I definitely you took the words right out of my mouth. It was there was some not missteps, but things that kind of make you go, I wonder if that's a good idea. But overall, the idea of the partnership between WWE and TNA was a mutual beneficial thing for both parties. I think it really did get some eyes on the TNA product. And I think TNA is definitely, trust me, I've been around since Dixie Carter era TNA. And let me tell you, this is the best that TNA has gotten in a very, very long time. They have a roster full of young, hungry talent, a lot of veterans on there too, a lot of space for other people to come and join in there too, because a lot of people have been
Yeah.
getting released, and closing out their contracts with WWE. So if they have other places they want to wrestle, New Day, they can
Yeah,
they
please.
they can go to TNA and get things done there. So I honestly I wish that I had access to TNA programming so I could keep up with it, but everything I see from TNA has been solid stuff. When I look at clips online and I try to stay up to date with the product through social media and stuff like that, they're doing everything as best they can, and to come across as a real viable company here in the United States. So I wish them all the best, and again, I think the idea of working with WWE was great. And I think it was great
Yeah.
to give people opportunities to get more eye on both products. And, like they didn't say this was going to be a permanent thing. So it's good to see them reset, get back to their own little things. And then maybe in the future, they can revisit the whole idea of working together in the partnership because obviously it works.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just sometimes you need a break, and then when you're all recharged and rested up and you got some new blood in there, then we'll see what happens.
For sure.
Alrighty, so I know you've been wanting to talk about this question because we talked about it a little bit off air. So the lineup for season 7 of Dark Side of the Ring was just announced. So what episode has us most interested?
Mm.
It took us a little bit of research to find the full episode, but and then of course it literally just say that technology decided to, not do that. Hold on, we're gonna pull that back up. I know that there was one in particular. I know you remember which one it is,
Yeah.
but which one would that happen to be?
That would happen to be they're going to do a Dark Side of the Ring episode on the controversial Necro Butcher versus Samoa Joe match that happened way back when on the Indies, and I am the lore surrounding this match is something that is of it gets people talking on the internet, especially like wrestling historians really that really pay attention to all aspects of professional wrestling. They talk about this match like this match makes people uncomfortable.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen clips of it.
no,
uh
no, I
it,
haven't.
it makes people highly uncomfortable, especially if you're squeamish and you don't like blood. I mean, it's not only the blood, just some of the shots that they were laying in during the
There was no,
match.
there was no like dislocations or like
No,
joints pointing one way.
no,
Okay, good.
no, nothing
Okay,
like that. They just the
okay,
just it was just two dudes beating the shit out of each other. It was like watching a bare knuckle fight.
okay.
You
Because
know,
I can handle the blood to a degree. I just feel like once you get to like, oh, there's a bone sticking through the skin, or oh,
no,
that finger
yeah, nothing
in
like
that way. It's like that's what gets me.
yeah,
So
nothing like that. It was just like let's take two dudes and they have a beef with each other now, which I'm sure the show is going to get into, so I'm not going to spoil it. They have a beef, but we're still going to put a wrestling match on between the two of them, and they're just going to go out there and beat the shit out of each other. They literally beat the absolute snot out of each other. I am very interested in that episode, but there's also Jeff Jarrett and TNA that they're going to cover. They're going to cover Missy Hyatt, Paul Orndorff, I think I saw, Zach
big boss
Gowen,
man,
Big
big
Boss
boss man,
Man. That
renegade.
the Renegade, WCW is the Renegade, which is an interesting story because that's when WCW tried to basically create their own Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
So like this is gonna be a very interesting season of Dark Side of the Ring. I'm interested in how they're going to make this compelling documentaries, because if you look on the flip side, A&E has their biography series, and I talked about this on stream a little while ago, but that's been going really, really good this new season. They did a 2-part episode on the Von Erich tragedy, which
Mhm.
I can speak about the Von Erichs ad nauseum for as long as I can. But even I learned a couple things in there that I didn't know about. And this past week, they did a biography episode on the Four Horsemen, which was really
Mm.
cool. So it's a good time for wrestling documentaries and stuff like that.
Yeah, I completely agree on that one. Now that I mean, of course, you already got them for me because my computer decided to just glitch out for 2 seconds. But now mine, the one I'm interested in is the TNA Jeff Jarrett one, which
Yeah.
is if I remember correctly, it's the season opener and it's a 3-parter, so it's going to be a doozy.
Oh
I think
God.
I think it's just because TNA as a promotion, its history and whatever is just so fascinating with all the stuff that is with all the controversy, with all the highs, the lows, and like you said, the Dixie Carter era, which you don't like to talk about, but it's just like it'll be very interesting to see a little more in depth about it and what people actually thought of it and what went wrong and what what didn't go wrong and what Jeff Jarrett has to say about it. So I feel like that would be rather interesting because I did follow TNA a little closer when I was growing up. Kind of in that era though, of when they were blatantly ripping WWE off and just like remember Shark Boy?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Shark Boy.
Yeah, Kazarian, Abyss, like that era of TNA. So I'd be very interested to see what a lot of people have to say about it because it's just a very fascinating company. If Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is up to interpretation, I suppose. But I feel like it's just it's a wild history around that company, so it'll be interesting to see them go more in depth into it.
Nice. I can't wait.
Me either. All right, so we pretty much talked about this. We were talking about it with the Backlash review, but Mike knows it's early and some more details need to come out. But the John Cena Classic has some promise to it. But with fans voting, doesn't it just seem like the most over person in the tournament wins, regardless of the win-loss record? That's the thing that I think that's kind of like concerning me a little bit, is that this may just turn into a popularity contest, and the person who actually should deserve to win it isn't going to. But that's the problem when you put it in the hands of the fans, because they will do whatever the hell, whatever they want to do, whether they like it or not. And how are you going to control the trolls and everything? And it'll be interesting, but yeah, I just feel like it has promise, but it has the potential to go downhill very quickly.
Right. I am hoping that it's going to be earnest, where the top performer is going to get the honors, and I'm hoping that what happens is the idea of even a person who lost their match being the MVP gives them enough drive to where we get some really, really good matches where guys and girls are out there giving it their absolute all, and you can really see that they want this for themselves. So I'm really interested in seeing how this is going to go. I have not high expectations, but I'm keeping my expectations pretty even keel.
Yeah, I feel like you just have to temper your expectations, because again, if this goes south, I'd rather not kind of lose your mind about it, as some people inevitably will, because they do take things a little too seriously when it comes to that kind of stuff. But yeah, we'll set the bar at an average level, a reasonable level, level-headed level, and we'll see where it goes. But
sure.
It could be really good or really bad, and I don't think it's going to really be anything in between. All right, so this is a very interesting one, because I noticed this on Twitter. Is Maxine Dupree joining the Vision? Because we did notice she was, in the car with the Vision on SmackDown, so that was a very interesting thing. So are they going to throw her into the mix, perhaps? I don't know. It'd be pretty interesting, especially if you want to just add a female aspect to the Vision. I mean, she could fit in there, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. I know she works hard. She works in the dungeon, with Natalia and working on her skills. And she's one of those people where you can clearly see the progression from her first match to the last time she was in the ring. Like, it's actually, she's becoming a real wrestler. So maybe it's one of those things where it's not necessarily a fake pseudo love interest, but maybe she just wants to have the tutelage of Paul Heyman, and the best way to do that is to be associated with the Vision. And I honestly, I like it. I think it's smart, and I'm interested in seeing where it's going to go from here.
I am too, because I feel like there's definitely there's potential there, and she's absolutely vastly improved since she first started to now. She's definitely taking it seriously. She's putting the work in, and it's showing. I'm definitely getting impressed with her. So yeah, I feel like that would be a pretty interesting thing to throw her into, and to see that could be another test. Like we keep saying, I feel like that's just the word of the day. Apparently, it's test, but that could be a big test for her too, if she can sink or swim in the Vision. And yeah, I mean, good for her though, because she deserves to have that kind of time on TV, if they go along with it, of course. But I'll be interested to see how they handle that with her, if they go along with it.
For sure.
All right, very simple question: who wins, Darby or MJF?
Shouldn't we wait till next week when we have our predictions episode for Double or Nothing?
Yeah, we might have to, Mike. We may have to put a timeout on that one, because we may have to keep it. We'll keep that one for. I mean, obviously, we'll talk about it anyway, but we'll say that is a to be determined next week. Who we think's gonna win?
I am honestly, hair matches. I kind of find them hokey, but I honestly, with everything that MJF had to do to get his hair. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'd be kind of funny if they actually go along with it and actually do shave his head, but
That'd be crazy.
I'll laugh. I will laugh so hard, but I will talk about that one next week at the predictions. We promise, Mike. Don't yell at us, but it only makes sense. It only makes sense to keep it for the predictions. All right, so Mark Davis defeats Jack Perry with help from Ricochet, while Ricochet is in a feud with Jericho. The only thing I can think of to have this make any sort of sense is Jungle Express joins Jericho for the multi-man match, but still make it make sense. Yeah.
I can't.
I can't. I feel like they kind of are just doing that thing again where they just throw something at the wall and, oh yeah, I guess it'll stick. So yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. That one just didn't. Just kind of made me scratch my head a little bit, but yeah, I wish I had an answer for that, but I'm not so sure they know what they're doing with that one, to be completely honest. But go figure, it involves Jericho, so why would it make sense?
Yeah, oh,
Make your head hurt.
It really does. It really does, because it just, now you have the commingling of like two separate storylines that had no reason to be. It just makes my head hurt. AEW, for all the good that they do, like with Darby's title run being very interesting and very sought after, appointment viewing. Like I actually want to see these Darby matches on this title run now that he's doing it every week, because to me that is what a champion should be doing, is defending their title,
Yeah.
as much as possible. So for every good thing that they do, i.e. Darby's championship run, they do things to make you scratch your head like, why is this happening? Why, first off, would you have Jack Perry lose the title when they're doing the vignettes with him going across the country with Luchasaurus in the bus? But not only that, he's a young talent where he can really build up this middle card of AEW with this title and give it a real run. But they cut the legs out from under it by giving it to Mark Davis, who literally was just a guy. He's no offense to Mark Davis, but he was just a guy. He wasn't in any prominent feuds, didn't have, it was just like when somebody in chat, because obviously it was happening while we're watching Backlash, they go, Mark Davis just won the national title. I went, huh? Like,
yeah. Like,
why? Like,
just why?
I don't know. I don't know this company, and it's just like, it makes me upset because Mike had mentioned that there's an opening to be a writer on and I was like, I could never.
You're like, this is my moment.
I can't work under those conditions where we're just doing whatever works. Like, not whatever works, but we're just throwing shit at a wall, and whatever sticks, we're going with it. I can't work under those conditions. This is why I honestly have no beef with the WWE product, because at least everything on their TV program has a purpose. As long, if you just follow that format, you would be gold. Make sure everything you put on TV has a purpose, and you're just not blindsiding people thinking, oh, they want to see this random ass match. Like, it's just,
it's true.
It's just, and again, it's so frustrating because as a longtime viewer, I know there's difficulties writing professional wrestling, but if you follow simple formats, it's the simplest thing to do. As long as we don't confuse the crowd, we're golden, because once you confuse them, you lose them. That's what Jeff Jarrett always said. Once you confuse them, you lose them. So as long as we don't confuse the audience and we follow clear, concise pathways and keep these storylines on track and to flow will be good as golden. But once you start throwing in Ricochet, who had no issue, unless they're going, oh, well, Jack Perry beat him for the title. Okay, then why is he feuding with Jericho and not feuding with Jack Perry to get the title back?
Yeah, it's just I don't know, man. It's just if you have to think about a storyline that hard to try and connect it to something else, that's not good. That's not a good
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head right there.
No. It's just no. I don't know what they're fucking doing with that, but it wouldn't be AEW if they didn't have at least one storyline where you're like, I'm not sure what the fuck you guys are doing, but okay, I guess.
Ooh.
Ugh. Speaking of a situation, to be fair, we don't really know what's going on for the most part. Mike would like to know what the hell's going on with the whole Asuka situation. Because, of course, everyone assumed from what was going on after the match at Backlash that, oh my god, she's retiring.
Mhm.
And then they do the thing on Raw and everyone's really panicking. So it's like, are we really losing Asuka? But then we got a little bit of news that it might not be as bad as we thought.
Yeah, we're safe.
For now.
We're safe. Apparently, here's the situation. She's got a couple things that she has to handle back in Japan that require her attention, and the WWE is so fond of Asuka and so high on Asuka that they're giving her this time to go ahead and handle whatever she has to handle. She recently signed a contract for a multi-year contract back in 2024, if I read correctly, and this is through Fightful. She signed a contract in 2024, a contract extension, and it's a multi-year deal. So unless they wanted to buy her out of her contract, she's still got some years left in the WWE. Maybe she's winding it down because you got to understand, like Asuka is has been doing this for a very, very, very long time. And then when literally, as crazy as it sounds with her history, WWE picked her up and it was like she was skyrocketed into her prime. With the win streak and just running and being undefeated in her entire run in NXT, being the first women's Royal Rumble winner, women's Money in the Bank, Triple Crown champion. Like, she's done it all in the WWE. There's truly nothing. She's a first ballot Hall of Famer through and through.
Absolutely.
And through. So if she wants to come back on a part-time schedule where she's only here every once in a while, I'd say by all means go for it because Asuka, have completely earned it. But I know everybody was freaking out. I was freaking out. Last night on Raw because she just, hugs Io Sky and then takes off, and it's like, where are you going? Come back, please.
Come back, please.
So again, reading the report, it's not anything like she's retiring or she was asked to take a pay cut or anything like that and she decided not to. She just simply has some business to take care of back in Japan that she has to go handle, and once that's all and done, maybe we'll see Asuka in there. But maybe she just needs a little bit of time off. Again, Asuka's she's a very physical wrestler. Physical wrestler. So she honestly deserves a little bit of time off for sure.
Yeah, we could all use a little bit of a break every once in a while. So you know what? If that's all it is, then thank God, because we can't lose Asuka just yet. Like, you gotta let her have one more run.
Exactly. We can't lose Asuka.
So crisis averted, guys. Don't worry. We'll get her back at some point. But going to Mike's last question, we have a completely different answer because another what the hell is going on with LA Knight? That one I don't have an answer to. I could not tell you what they're doing with him, to be honest.
I don't have an answer for that, but honestly, he's not the only one. Where's CM Punk? Where's Drew McIntyre?
Yeah, where is everybody?
Where is everybody? On the other hand, that's the reason why they're giving time to guys like Trick Williams, Kit Wilson, Danhausen, The Miz. Jacob Fatu is in this new role where he's in the upper main card for the title now. So, I honestly, just think it's one of those, wrestling, specifically the WWE, you got to think of it as a wheel. And the wheel
Yeah.
never stops spinning, no matter for what. So they took the cog that was LA Knight out, replaced it with a Jacob Fatu. They're moving around multiple pieces and just keeping the train moving. Basically, there's no
Yeah.
stopping this juggernaut that is the WWE. They'll figure out a way to keep things moving, regardless who comes and who goes. So yeah, I don't know where LA Knight is, to be honest with you. We might have to put him on some milk cartons.
I was literally just gonna say that. Like, yeah, we might have to because we need to hire a private investigator or something. We're losing some people. We need to find them again. But yeah, I wish we knew Mike because yeah, that poor guy has been through God knows enough. But maybe he needs a break too. Who
Yeah,
knows? But
probably.
I feel
Randy
like
Orton. Randy Orton's another one. Where's Randy Orton?
yeah, he probably needs a recovery from that bullshit storyline anyway. So that's probably fair. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're all taking vacations or something, or sitting back and catering, which I really hope's not the case. But who knows? Who knows at this point? All right, I think that is all of Mike's questions. So thank you again, Mike, and we are done for the night.
All right. Well, geez, thank you guys. I honestly was a little worried that we were going to have to fill up time, but we did a pretty good job covering Backlash and answering those questions.
Yeah, see, it's almost as if we know what we're doing. Like, who
Yeah,
would've thought?
you think by now we have a handle on this. We've been doing this for
Yeah,
so long.
just a little bit, but
Yeah.
oh well.
200 plus episodes in the bank.
Yeah, it really has been that long, hasn't it? Like,
Yeah.
goddamn. Like, yeah, we say it all the time, but anyway, go on.
Next week, ladies and gentlemen, we will be covering Double or Nothing, the pay-per-view from AEW that's coming the weekend of. So we'll be talking about that, giving our predictions on who we think are going to be the winners and losers of the night. So make sure you are all subscribed and followed up so you don't miss that episode of the podcast. This podcast can be found on multiple platforms, whether it's Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Audible, Good Pods. Basically, wherever you listen to podcasts, all you have to do is just search the Ringside Rundown, hit the follow or subscribe button, and you'll never miss an episode. We come out with an episode every week on Wednesday, so make sure you go check that out. And if you don't have a podcast platform that you use, you can check out our YouTube channel, where we also do live streams for all WWE and AEW programming at youtube.com/@Ringside Run Pod. Check us out all across the board on social media, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at Ringside Rundown. We're also on TikTok at Ringside_Rundown. And here's the big one. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, I am on twitch.tv/Ringside Rundown watching Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, AEW Dynamite, and AEW Collision, plus WWE PLEs when they're happening. So come check me out on Twitch. Be a part of our little community that we're growing. You could chat with me during the shows and chat with other wrestling fans while you watch the show at home. It's really fun. I know there's been some controversy with reaction streamers and people not really understanding how reaction streams actually work. Some people actually find it dumb, but honestly, I think I find it a lot of fun doing what I do with the streams and doing my little side commentary, trying to do my best Michael Cole impression, but definitely it's a good time. So check it out. Again, we're on Twitch and on YouTube for every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday show. Twitch.tv/Ringside Rundown and youtube.com/@Ringside Run Pod. Shay, where can they find you?
You can find me on my wrestling Twitter at @ShayRingside_. And like we always say, it's just like Eric's, except I copied the homework but didn't make it too obvious.
Yeah. We just, we tweaked a couple things.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Definitely.
Nothing too fancy.
Definitely. Well, I think it's time for us to get out of here. Like I said, our next episode coming is next week for Double or Nothing. So until then, my name is Erik Vasquez for Shay Hickson. Good night, guys. Take care.
See you later, guys.